Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome back, everyone, to Referrals Podcast. You guys are doing it. You guys are listening, you're sharing, you're downloading. We went over 2,000 more downloads last month than the previous month. We're top 100 in the country. We're number one in Belgium. Like, how the heck does that happen? Which Sherry loves, and I think she's actually been spending money to make that happen. I don't know, because she's from Belgium. But bottom line, hey, we're number one in Belgium, right? To all you listeners in Belgium, I just want you to know, I married a Belgian. And number two, I love you, love your chocolate, love Belgium. Good stuff. Welcome back. So here's the other thing. So back about 20 years ago, I was studying influence. In fact, I went into a hotel room for a week and I read every book on influence. I studied everything on influence because at that time, I knew that kind of one of the secrets, one of the powers to getting a lot of referrals was influence, right? And at the time, John Maxwell had just said, like I heard it for the first time, he goes, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so I just dove deep into influence. One of the books that I ran across was How to Win an Election by Cicero. And it was actually Quintus, which is his brother, wrote him a series of letters for Cicero to win his election in the Roman days. I mean, this is way back when. And he had some things that he wrote about how to win an election. One of them was call in your favors when you're trying to win an election, and promise everything. It's okay. Promise everything and to everyone, right? Which is kind of an interesting, and what's really interesting about that is we've seen that in the presidential elections for years, right? And, it also just talked about make sure you know your opponent's weaknesses, right? This is ancient Roman times. And he even gave examples of one of the guys who had his house foreclosed on and that he should bring it up in his debates. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is literally like the playbook for how to get elected. And it was just interesting that this was written so long ago. But it also was one of those where it really kind of talked about influence and how to be an influence and how to win an election. I wasn't trying to win an election. But what's interesting is we're trying to win sales. And we're trying to win this respect, trust, referral game. And it's really like an election. And here's what's interesting about an election, and especially for our realtors and lenders here, is that when you win an election, the winner gets everything. The loser doesn't get anything. The second place is first loser, essentially, right? Thank you for the Ricky Bobby reference. There's no podcast fully complete until you have a Ricky Bobby quote. But it's one of those where in real estate, if you get second place, they go, oh, you're so nice and we loved you and we're listing with someone else. You literally get paid nothing and all the time you spent on it before was absolutely wasted, kind of. You're learning from it, hopefully. But a lender, same thing. And in most sales, if you're the second place roofing company for the roof, guess what? You didn't get the deal. So you got to win an election every time you go out every day. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how do we use the lessons of running for office to win an election so that they select you and elect you when it comes time for the sale. And that's what we're going to go into today. I love this podcast. You're going to love it too. I've got to give a shout out to Julie Oakes, by the way. She was just talking about the Referrals podcast. She said episode 219. Now, I don't know episode numbers like some people, like Tommy Sandvik. He knows the episode numbers like nobody. I don't know what 219 is. But she said, holy moly, listened while walking, which is just a great strategy anyway. And it really inspired me. I have a specific niche and I'm starting a Facebook group for it today. So one of the things that we talk about is building your tribe of trust, and they need a home on the internet. They need a home. They need a place to congregate, and that's what a Facebook group does for you. The other thing I want to just talk about is our Tribe of Trust, the Generosity Generation, is having our annual convention in Orlando, Florida. It is Referral Mastery Summit, rms22.com. This guy's going to speak there. This guy, wherever he's at on your screen, is going to speak there. And many others of the top producers around the country are going to share with you what they did to get referrals. It's Referral Mastery Summit, and it is in Orlando, September 27th through the 29th. And you can learn more at rms22.com. Without further ado, I want to introduce one of our return guests. He's been on a couple of times before. He's one of everybody's favorites. And today, Don McNaughton is here. He is a fourth-generation realtor, obtaining his real estate license at the age of 16. He got his real estate license at 16. So he couldn't drive. He couldn't show buyers, but he could actually have a real estate license, maybe. After spending a lifetime around the business, it has become his true passion. Today, Don is executive broker at McNaughton Real Estate, working with a team of agent staff and family. The McNaughton team ranks at the top in Northwest Arkansas, helping an average of 250 families a year, $60 million in sales. This is Northwest Arkansas, people, and managing over 250 properties as well with their real estate management company. Putting God first and their commitment to hard work and helping others is what drives their success. Don is also a founding member of our CRT, Certified Referral Trainer Program, and he teaches regularly inside Referral Mastery Academy, outside Referral Mastery Academy, and is also a fan favorite at our annual Referral Mastery Summits. Don McNaughton, welcome back to Referrals Podcast, brother.
Awesome. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm telling you. So one of the guys I love the most, right? I mean, just they do it the right way. They're so referable. And they could have put all that in jeopardy. You could have put that in jeopardy, right? So what inspired you to run for state representative in Arkansas?
Yeah. God has a funny way of doing things sometimes. I always actually said I would never run for office. That's not me. That's not something I would ever do. I've said it as much as even 6 months ago. I actually would have said, there's no way I would ever run for office. So, it just so happens that I'm involved very much on my board, my local board, on my state board of realtors. That's been great. I encourage everyone to get involved in that. You make a lot of friends. You start knowing a lot about what's happening across the state. And that ties into politics. What are legislators doing? What kind of laws are they trying to pass in the real estate world? And you need to pay attention to that. I know it's not fun to pay attention to, but if you don't, they're going to do it for you.
That's right.
The more we pay attention to that, the more I knew, and the more I realized that they needed. There's a lot of licensed real estate agents that run for politics because it's just kind of something that people do. I knew that they needed a voice of someone that was really a true realtor. I mean, I'm a realtor. I'm in there every day. I'm selling. I'm talking to people. Holding a real estate license and selling 2 houses a year is not the same as selling 250. So I thought, I need to get in there. There's some laws that are trying to be passed and they don't understand. It's not their fault, but they don't understand what it is we're really doing.
That's
and
right.
I was like, I need to get in there and be that voice. And I did not want to run. And what pushed me over the edge was my wife. She said, you're of all people, you've been licensed since you're 16 years old. You're a 4th-generation realtor. If anybody can get there at your state capital and explain the processes of buying and selling homes, it would be you. And she said, if you don't try, you will never forgive yourself.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, you're right. I said, I won't. Now I went and spoke at the Capitol before from the realtor side. And I just thought, well, I at least need to try to do it from the inside. So that's
which I love, right? There. And people need to know you rose through the ranks at Northwest Arkansas Board of Realtors to the point of president. So you have managerial, administrative oversight experience, leadership experience. And I'm telling you right now that for those of you that are not familiar with the NWA Board of Realtors, it's legit, right? I mean, they have a phenomenal organization. They are probably one of the best run. I have spoken for the organization 3 times, and I can tell you right now that their setup was one of the best I'd ever seen. And it was just everything was ultra professional and done. Sometimes we think of Arkansas and Kansas and Iowa and Missouri and some of the Midwest, and we discount them because they're not California or East Coast or whatever it may be. And the truth is this is better run than the stuff I'd seen on the East Coast and the West Coast. So that's the first thing. And the other thing too is, there's 2 things that Mama said don't talk about, right? She said don't talk about religion and don't talk about politics. You've already tackled religion. You lead with religion, basically, right? I mean, God first. And so why not politics, right? So you jump into politics. The problem with politics, right, is that you alienate 50% of what might be your client base very, very quickly just by putting a D or an R next to your name. Did you find any of that? Did you see any of that?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've never really talked much about politics with our clients. We tried to stick with those rules, and that was something we discussed. I said, whenever when we put a letter with our name, it's full on, and we just kind of weighed the, Arkansas is a red state. It is. Yeah. It's going to be our new governor's coming on. It will be a red governor. So I was like, if there's anywhere to do that, it would be here. So we're going to go for it. That does not mean that we didn't have Democratic clients.
Yeah.
But I had Democratic clients call me up and say, "What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah.
But we know you and we know your heart.
There you
and
go.
They said, if I was ever, some of them were in my district, some were not. But they said, I'd vote for you because you have a good heart and you're not a politician. And that's the truth. I'm not a professional politician. I never claimed that. But if you're a good person and things, so the people that really knew me, even though they're like hard Democrats, I had some Democratic votes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the other thing too that I love is you felt so strongly about real estate that you wanted real estate representation on the floor at Congress. And I mean, first and foremost, I applaud you willing to go to bat, and put some things at risk for real estate and for the real estate profession. And so many people are not willing to make a change. They're not willing to take a risk like that, and they're not willing to speak up like that. And you did it and crushed it. And I think that's awesome. It should be applauded. And it had to be tough. I love that you did that. And so what lessons did you learn from running your campaign? Like literally it had to be so different being out there to run for office versus run for, it's not about being selected anymore. It's about being elected, right?
Yeah. It was very different, and some things were 100% the same. So here's the first thing that when I jumped in, again, I didn't know anything about politics, but it's relationships. Mm-hmm. It is relationships to referrals. It's relationships to votes. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely the same. What you have to do. Should we tell them whether I won or lost yet? Or are we saving that for later?
I think you can say it right now. It's all good.
I lost.
Yeah. So you got
that's
second.
Okay.
You didn't lose. You got second place.
I did.
Right? Here's the thing. Losing just for the sake of losing is one thing, but losing and learning is everything. And I think that's the beauty of this is you lost, but you learned a lot. And not only that, did not only applied to politics, but applied to your business. And I love that transition because we're going to segue into that with the questions today. But you're exactly right. Is relationships to referrals. You want to go from having relationships to getting referrals. Well, what is a referral? It's somebody who's taking action on your behalf when you're not there. Well, what's a vote? Somebody taking action on your behalf when you're not there, right? So it is amazing how those kind of parallel and go together. What else did you learn from running your campaign? Which you did a great job. I've still got the shirts. I've got the hats. It's like, it's like you wrapped a truck, right?
We did. We wrapped the truck. We had a billboard. So I'll tell you how that kind of got started. Most people that run for office have a plan. they kind of have a long plan. They've been working at it for a while.
Yeah.
That discussion with my wife came 48 hours before the deadline to file. And I really wasn't going to do it. And she said, you have to, you're not going to forgive yourself. So I said, that means we're getting in the car and we're driving to the Capitol, Little Rock in our case. And we're going to file some papers that I don't even know, I've never filed before in my life. And so she's like, okay. So, we took off that Monday. We started calling relationships. We started calling people we knew that had some insight on this. And they're like, yeah. And, our realtors down in Little Rock, the staff of the association, they're like, we'll help you. They're like, we'll meet you down there at the RPA building. And I said, well, that sounds great. I was like, does anyone want to tell me what the RPA building is? And they're like, well, it's the Republican Party of Arkansas. I was like, okay, that's, and I am a Republican. I am a Republican, but I'm not involved enough to know what the RPA building means.
Yeah.
So we jumped in. We only had 85 days before the election.
Wow.
So to try to win an election in 85 days is kind of crazy. And I guess I'm just the kind of guy who would go for that. So what do you have to do in 85 days? We filled out the paperwork, paid the fees, launched a billboard that very day, I believe. And that's what it started, was a billboard. And that was easy for us because I knew who to call for a billboard. And in relationships, I'm like, let's make this happen.
Right.
I knew who to call for shirts and hats because we have some shirts and hats. So I'm instantly on the phone. I brought one there. It says McNaughton for state rep. I was like, we got to get some hats, and postcards is easy. Direct mail is easy. We've done all that our entire careers. Here's what's cool. And again, it's relationships. We started just calling people that we knew owned land that have good sign locations. So I will encourage all realtors to get involved in their local politics. Politicians want realtors' help, and they don't always know it, but they figured it out after I did that, is that I came out of the gate with more sign locations than my opponent did anywhere. And everyone was stunned. The political people were stunned, and they're like, how do you have all the sign locations? Well, we've sold real estate in this area for 47 years.
Yeah, relationships.
We got on the phone. It's all relationships. So you get on the phone and you're calling somebody you hadn't talked to, and like, we're running for office. Can we put a sign up? And they're like, sure. So, we just start blanketing this area. Where it's challenging is that a representative represents, I think, like 30,000, 35,000 people. I got to build a relationship with 35,000 people in 85 days.
85 days.
And that's a challenge.
So you didn't just spend time in the informational zone, right? Of the 7 levels of communication. You're talking about billboard, you're talking about direct mail, you're talking about electronic mail and that kind of thing. But you really upped it into the influential zone with phone calls, speaking in front of groups, and then one-to-one meetings, right?
Absolutely.
So, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, one-on-one meetings. The first thing I did before I guess some of that stuff launched, I instantly started calling my sphere. And I say my sphere, my family and sphere, and the tight people that would be hurt. And I just started calling as many as I possibly could. And I said, hey, I'm getting ready to run for state representative. And of course they tease you. They're like, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? And all that. And I was like, I got to do it. And here was amazing too. I called one of my friends, and I told him, and he's a very dry sense of humor, just doesn't show a lot of emotion about anything. And he just real firmly, he said, we that we will do anything. Our entire family will do anything you need to help support you in any way possible. He said, you tell me what you need and I will make it happen. And he's not that outgoing kind of a guy. And,
right.
When you hear that and you just keep hearing that from all your people, that gets emotional. It was an emotional thing. I was like, I didn't, you think maybe people like you, that's why you're running, but you don't realize until they'll say, what do you need? And then they start writing you checks. Mm-hmm. And the maximum they can give you is $2,900. Mm-hmm. I didn't really expect anybody to write $2,900 checks.
Yeah.
Several people did, and you see who comes right out of the gate first, and said, here's, or even if it's $500 or $100, all of it helps. But here's $500, but it kind of floors you when someone believes in you to write $2,900 checks. And it just, in 85 days, that starts going faster and faster and faster. And you are having one-on-one meetings. So you're meeting with everybody you possibly can. And then when people realize you're running, and I say the people that are kind of more involved in politics, everyone starts calling you and saying, will you come and speak at our group? We have this meeting. We have the women's Republican meeting. We have teachers group and small business group. I didn't even know these groups existed in my town.
Right.
But when you're running for office, everybody shows up. So you're building relationships. I mean, you don't know those people. You meet them, you go there, and actually you speak. So you want a quick speaking gig, run for office. You're going to have a bunch of quick speaking gigs.
Yeah.
Was I nervous about that? I was. What I was concerned about is a debate, because what we see in our mind is the presidential debates, regardless of what side. And those are nasty and those are mean. And you're thinking, I'm not doing that. That's not me. I can't do that. But I talked to some of my friends and they said, usually you don't have to debate.
Right.
They usually just get you up there to speak. And the truth is, I don't think anybody probably really wants to do a debate. Even the presidents probably aren't really looking forward to that. Yeah. But people will get up and speak for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So my first speaking gig was with the Republican women. And I thought, man, I'm coming from a strong, tough crowd. I come from a strong mom, a strong wife, and I know what it's like to speak to strong Republican women. And so, I got up there, and gosh, in the crowd, somebody raised their hand and they're like, I know you used to, I wasn't sure. They said, didn't you used to bowl? Well, I hadn't bowled at all in 20 years. Yeah. I thought, boy, this person knows me from a long time ago. I did when I was a kid. That was just something I did. And I did win a lot of tournaments. They're like, yeah, you used to win a lot of tournaments in bowling. And I was like, okay. I was like, how do you know that? And it was an old client from that long ago that had moved away, and moved 20 years ago, moved away, and it came back, and, we all gotten older and didn't. And I was like, that's me. And
Isn't it funny what they remember? Isn't it funny what they remember about you? And you never think it's going to be what it is. It's like, didn't you bowl? It's like, that's an interesting question since I'm in the women's Republican group. It's like I wasn't ready for sports questions.
That's right. I wasn't. And something I did, bowling 30 years ago. I was like, huh. But again, it was relationships. I rebuilt relationships, built new relationships, and everybody got to know us better. So again, why doing this for business wise, it put our name McNaughton, which is the name of our company, McNaughton Real Estate, McNaughton for representative. That was really an easy no-brainer. Put us more on the map. People were like, "Oh, I've heard of you," or now I know more of you, and that was what we did.
Well, I love that. And, one thing that you're talking about is you're calling your sphere because you've got a deadline. That's the first thing. And you've got a goal, right? Which we talk a lot about events as kind of your goal and your deadline. And the other thing too, is you got on the phone to make sure, like with the Republicans, it's like you let them know you're running because you hope to get their vote. With the Democrats, you're like, you want to communicate with them just to let them know that you're the same person that you were 10 years ago, right? Or whenever they worked with you. And the phone call means everything, right? If you hadn't called maybe the other side of the table, it might have been a lot worse as far as losing some people, Yeah. But you stayed true to who you are. And
there's a street in front of our office, and you've seen our office. There's houses nice houses right down the street from our office. So we sold almost every one of those houses on that street. And most of them were Republicans. So we started calling, and we literally lined the street. Our office had signs. The entire street down there had signs. I knew we'd sold a house. One house we'd sold to a Democrat, and we called them anyway, because I just said, look, every sign's getting ready to go up. Your whole street's going to be blanketed. We don't want to be offensive. Yeah. You're our client too. And of course they're like, well, we're Democrats. And we're like, we totally get that. Yeah. And they're like, we just didn't want to put a house at every one of your neighbors and not at least call you and give you that opportunity. And they weren't mean about it. They said, no, we just can't put a Republican sign up.
Yeah. It's all good. I mean, you gotta, I mean, that's That's the thing, right? Is thank God the nation is not one or the other, right? We'd have all sorts of problems. The beauty is the balance. It really is.
Yeah.
One keeps the other in check and so on and so forth. It has made it kind of divisive, but that's only because I think maybe our emotional intelligence has gone down as a nation over the last, 10 years or 20 years. But it's one of those where it's like, I have no problem with Democrats. I have no problem with Republicans. It's just like, good for you, good for you for knowing what you are, because most people think they are because their parents were or whatever it may be. And the fact is they're probably not. If you start asking them really questions about, small government versus big government, and it's amazing how like a Democrat will have answers that maybe are actually more Republican leaning. And it's interesting that you're from the state of Arkansas, because I'm just going to say this from what I heard, but I'm no expert, but like Clinton was known as one of the most Republican Democrat presidents we've ever had. A lot of his policies were very Republican in nature, and the nation, but he also had that Democrat side. Well, what happened when he was the president? We soared. We had a great run economically during that time, because it was kind of a little bit of both versus one hard line or the other. And so I love that. I love that you picked up the phone and called them. You had a reason to call, which is another thing we talk about with the events and the just how
That's where someone else had run for office in the past. And I quickly got a campaign manager, and that, which isn't easy, by the way. Whenever you come, you're late coming out of the gate, and so you've got 85 days. Most campaign managers are working with other people,
right?
And you're new, and no one just shows up. But somebody did show up, and they said, "Hey, we want to help you." And I said, "That's great," because I don't know much about politics, and they had a lot of tips and tricks, and as I started doing it, I said, if I would just run my business this way, I said, we'd make even more money. And they said, yeah, a lot of people running for office have said that once they run for office, they realize that if they just put that effort into their business, because I was going to small towns and small events and speaking.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Now I had to run. They probably wouldn't have cared to invite me, but once I was running for office, there's a small business group that meets once a month, and they're like, we want you. And I went out there and I was so excited, small business. I said, that's great. I'll speak here on running for office. And I said, win or lose, I'm coming back and I'm going to speak about 7 levels of communication in this wonderful book. And they said, that'd be great. I said, this helps small businesses and I want you guys to have it. So it gets me more speaking gigs. To share and just to help people. And the more
confidence, because you've spoken, and you spoke about a lot harder thing than 7L the last time, So, and that's the thing that I love about this is, could you imagine doing this before CRT?
No.
I saw Don McNaughton transform in 3 days. I don't want to make this a big giant like plug for certified referral training, but I literally watched you morph that 3 days, and you absolutely crushed it on day 3. And I'm just like, I became a proud papa, even though, we're not that far from age, but it's one of those where it's just like, I'm so glad you did CRT because you were ready for this. And then you were president of your association, which required you to get in front of the crowd more, and you honed it and you tweaked it. And then, man, you were ready for this. Like, you were ready. And maybe what are a couple of things from speaking in front of a group that you noticed or would be good words of wisdom for those that are listening, right? Because one of the best ways to grow your business is to get in front of a group and speak, which terrifies 99% of our listeners, right?
Absolutely. So I know this wasn't about a promotion for CRT, but man, that changes things. Yeah. Because I wouldn't have had the confidence to be the president of the Board of Realtors, the largest board in the state, knowing you're going to have to speak, knowing that you might, because depending upon what happens in the real estate world, you might be on the news. Something crazy happens in real estate, the news is calling the president of the board to be on the news.
There you go.
Without CRT giving you some little tips and little tricks and some confidence, that'd be a lot tougher. And the same thing when I did this, and I honestly, my opponent, and I'm not talking bad about him. I'm just saying, I just saw things he did. He didn't have CRT. So I saw him speak one time, and he got up there, and the first thing he said is, "I'm not good at speaking. This is not, just nervous."
Yeah.
And of course, you learn in CRT that's not how you start. You don't, the whole thing of, "I'm real excited to be here and join you guys, and it's just really a great day," and being nervous.
Yeah.
And to get up there and say, "I'm not good at speaking, hope you all bear with me." That's not a good lead out. I'm like, we got to lead.
Rule number one,
way.
own the opening, right?
There you go.
Rule number one, own the opening, right? Own the open. And I love it. So, all right. So what lasting changes are you making at McNaughton Real Estate based on your experiences through this election process?
What we really enjoyed, again, with 85 days, and we got tons of t-shirts, tons of hats, bumper stickers, things like that, magnets. I had everything, postcards, direct mail. We had an absolute ball. Again, this comes from generosity generation of having t-shirts and hats. And everywhere we went for 85 days, those are in the back of our car, they're in the back of our rig, and we go up, and whether I'm at a closing or whether we're, somewhere, we're like, "Hey, you want a, t-shirt, you want a hat?" And people are like, "Absolutely, I'd love to have a t-shirt and a hat." And we've had those in our company before, but you just fade and you don't do it a lot. So, we're going to have more t-shirts and hats and, marketing stuff, because everybody loves a free t-shirt. They just do. But we were forced to carry them around with us, hand them out all the time, and everybody loved it. So, coming right off that election, 4th of July is coming. So we bought a bunch of 4th of July t-shirts and hats, and that's a little different. Our colors are not red, white, and blue, but it was fun. And that seems simple, but you're just promoting ourselves. Even the back of our rig. So my car, my truck, my wife's truck, my mom's SUV, our mobile office. You're right. We put big stickers on the back that said McNaughton for State Representative. We have not had those McNaughton Real Estate. We do have cars. We're a team, and we have a pretty good sized team. So we have cars that are wrapped, but we left our cars kind of incognito. I don't know if it's for being lazy. It wasn't because we couldn't afford it. We just never really put the sticker on the back. Yeah. The minute we pulled the state rep stickers off, we went right back up with McNaughton Real Estate on every automobile we had, everywhere. And I'm like, that's easy. We could have done that the whole time. I'm kind of mad at myself for, slacking in any effort. And so that's the first thing. If I buy a new car, first thing it's going is to the shop to get at least a McNaughton sticker on the back.
Yeah.
And when we showed up at those speaking events, that was kind of cool too. Sometimes we were all coming from different angles, different areas. Me, my mom, my wife, we all show up with magnets on and all that. They're like, "Wow, the McNaughtons are here." It was never a doubt at that speaking place.
That's awesome.
The other thing is, again, why I say you should run for office. And if you'd run your business that way, we all get lazy. We won't go to the things we need to go to. Sometimes I was at a meeting at 6:30 in the morning and at 6:30 at night. Now, I'm not saying you can keep that up forever, but to be at a speaking, those business people, that was when you spoke at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have never had to speak at 6:30 in the morning, let alone, you were there speaking at 6:30, not getting up. And then we had to do it that night. We had to go speak somewhere else with a big group of people. And I'm like, these are getting to be long days. But when you're comfortable, don't be comfortable. You get comfortable and you're like, I don't have to go to that Chamber of Commerce meeting, that business after hours. I don't have to go to that. I don't have to go to people sometimes skip church. I don't have to go to church. No, we go to church anyway.
Yeah.
But when you go to church and they're all excited to see you, and they say you're running for office, that's great. We need someone like you. Do you have any shirts or hats? I'm like, yeah. And if people want a shirt or hat, if they're going to wear my name on their shirt, I feel like I should give it to them.
Yeah, the heck yeah. That's awesome. Well, all right. So what's your business like now? What did it do for your business? Probably destroyed your business, right? Half your clientele left. They're never coming back. And, you've been in it since 16. It's all over, right? Yeah. You've just alienated everybody and you lost. So you're a loser, right? So no clients, right?
Yeah. We just took a vacation, which we can talk about, but it was 2 week vacation. We sold $4 million while we were on vacation.
There we go.
And so it put us name wise. I mean, people know our name anyway after all these years, but it put us more on the map. People thinking of us, reminding us, and that's really it. Top of mind. And so people are like, "Hey, I want you to sell my house or find me a house." It's branding. All marketing works. It's just some works better than others. Some's more efficient than others, and it just helped us out. So our business was booming that entire time. Again, because we're out talking to people.
Right.
If I want my business to fail, I just need to stay home inside my house for the next 6 months.
And say it louder. Say it louder for the.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's like, the quarantine's over, people.
Yeah.
Like, get out. Like, get out. It's like I've said on this podcast a couple of times last time, it's just like people in general have gone from this caged and enraged feeling, right? They're on Twitter or Facebook or whatever all the time, arguing with complete strangers who they would probably like if they actually met them in person. They've gone from this caged and enraged to uncaged, get out, and engage. Start to engage with others and start to get with others. And, this forced you to really do that. And you were doing it ahead of a lot of your competitors, even in the real estate world, that were still home officing. And when somebody says home office, it means they just stay home all day in their pajamas. Yep. And it's one of those where, you need to say that louder for the people in the back is get out there. I keep saying it, is the secret to success in sales is conversations. The salesperson with the most conversations win. And that was what you really did. You had to have a lot of conversations. What's funny, you were probably thinking you were having conversations about politics, but what it was really doing is rebranding your real estate team, right? You were a realtor doing politics. You weren't a politician doing real estate.
Absolutely. And that a lot of my conversations, because people came out of the woodwork, and there's some people that are very political would come out of the woodwork, and they're like, "Well, who are you? Tell me, why are you running? Who are you?" And you think you've been here for 47 years, everybody must know you. That's not true.
Yeah, right.
Some people just moved here 5 years ago. They don't even,
or last week,
or last week, or 10 years ago, whatever. But they don't know that I've been here for 47 years. Mm-hmm. So people would show up, and they're like, "Well, tell me about yourself." So more people were coming to our office. In fact, we had an event. What do you do? Everyone in politics, you have a fundraising event.
That's right.
Man, so excited. And we did that with style, like we do all our other events. And I had several people show up, and they said, "Oh my gosh," they're like, "this is like a real political event." They're like, "It's a real it's like you're really running for office." And I was like, "Well, what did you think I was going to do?"
Yeah, I really am running for office.
Yeah. And they said, "Well, I just didn't think it would be so professional and look like a real campaign event." And I'm like, "Man, because you got to have the backdrop. Should you have a backdrop for your business and get pictures with all your clients? Of course you should." Yep. So you have a backdrop with your name on there. And
you ran Event Mastery for politics, dude.
Yeah, that's what we did.
That's awesome. How great that you've been running events all the years.
We had an ice cream truck outside giving out free ice cream, and we had tacos for life. Doing the tacos and the food. And, in this case, the donations were all to the campaign. Man, it was fun. It wasn't, it's not like that wasn't, I don't like asking people for money. I'll be honest.
Yeah, right.
That's not a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
But people know when they come to an event like that's kind of how that works. So people, put checks in there, and it was fun. The other thing that we all have failed. I say we all, you haven't, but most people have failed. I have, for sure.
I probably failed at it. Whatever you're about to say, yeah. I just want you to know I probably failed a lot of times at it. So
videos, we're all told to do a video. We're like, do a video. And so many people, I've been told that for, 15 years, maybe 20, honestly, 20 years, do a video. And we did some, but you're like, "Well, I feel shy and I don't like how I look. And I kind of look fat or whatever."
All the excuses.
All the excuses. So my campaign manager, they said, yes to direct mail, yes to all the normal things you think of when running for office or running your business. They said, but what we want to see out of you is a lot of videos. And I said, well, that's great. I like doing videos. I have a great video company that we have in town that makes this beautiful videos. And they said, yeah, they said, that's okay. You can do one of those. They said, but we have to build relationships with 35,000 people and we got 85 days to do it. They said, so we need videos that are amateurly shot.
Yeah.
You holding your phone.
Yeah.
Like that and shooting a video. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I hate those because I personally do. I was like, I don't like
They're
those.
not staged. They're not prepared. They're,
right.
They're very raw. Right. And you have no control or little control.
Yeah. And I was like, that's really tough. And they said, we're going to put those on social media. We're going to, pay advertising. Those will be falling in everyone's feeds. They're like, so you have to make them, put them on your campaign website first. Or Facebook, your campaign Facebook first, and then share it with your personal. And they're like, and we will spend the money with the algorithms and get it put out there. And I said, how many you need? And they said, we want 5 a week.
Every day.
And I was like, huh. I was like, and they said, really what we want to land on is that we want 3 good ones a week.
There you
They're
go.
like, but we want you to shoot 5 a week. And I said, that is really going to be tough for me. I said, I like it to be, I'm okay with a professional video. There's editing. I look great. They said, nobody cares about that. They're like, it's not the real you. They don't see who you are. And so you got to just go do it. So I did. I started doing that and that took a little build up. But I started doing it when you got in the rhythm, you shoot a video and you shoot a video. And I would write not a long video. They said, this needs to be 30 seconds.
Yeah.
This does not need to be, you're just doing a quick, sometimes maybe 20 seconds, but not some big long thing. So I'd have an idea. I'd write a few lines down. I actually would memorize it because I wanted to say it right. I memorized what I was going to say, the words. Because again, when you're running for office, all eyes are on you 100%.
Yeah. They're looking for the mistakes too, right?
They're looking for every mistake you
possibly. Flaw.
Yeah. They're looking for you to say that, you're claimed to be a Republican, but you just said that you like to ride a bike and hang out at libraries. Yeah. And that's a Democrat move. And I'm like, really? I was like, just because you want to ride a bike and so there's things that you learn that are weird. And I'm like, I can't say library. And they're like, no, stay away from libraries. I'm like, okay. It's weird. It's weird stuff. But shooting videos, when you have to do 5 a week and you start doing that and putting them out and people start commenting, liking and doing stuff and like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, why haven't I been doing videos for my business? Why haven't I been giving some tips and throwing it out there? Because I'm scared and nervous and don't think I look right. So the fact when the campaign was over and I quickly took a vacation, as soon as I got there, I was like, I need a great spot to make a video. And then I kind of thought, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I don't have to make videos anymore. I mean, that's how I trained it so hard that everywhere you go, you have to make a video.
Which is, I think that's the lesson of this entire podcast, man. I really think, and here's the beauty of this, is your campaign manager hit it on the head, that the one that is most responsive, the ones I most like to watch, and the ones you probably most like to watch too, are the genuine, real, short ones. I mean, when it's like suit and tie, flag waving in the background, on a virtual background, it's all staged. It's like, all right, next, right? It's going to be too formal, And but when it's the one that I love that I saw, I didn't see a lot of them that you did, but I saw the one you did at the ballpark. Something that the listeners may not know is during the time that he was running for office, we actually came to town. I got a chance to speak, and my son was playing in a national invitational tournament, baseball tournament. And, Don and, his mom and Crystal came out to watch the game, which was really nice to support Max, and he loved seeing you there. And while he was out there, you did a video of yourself about the parks and rec and, that kind of thing. And it's just like, dude, that's the real you. That was really well done and fun. And you were more relaxed than I thought you would be. It just like, it was great. So I think
and that's a training thing, like practice. You got to practice. You want to go speak, go practice speaking. You want to do videos, practice. That was one of my earlier videos. I got more relaxed with it. It got easier. Sometimes I could nail it real easy, and sometimes the topic would be hard for me. And I, because they'd give me some topics, and I'm like, okay, how do we tie this into whatever? But you know what? It was fun to make. It was fun to make with Crystal. We made some together, and that was fun. We laughed a lot more than you'd think. And the reason you didn't see it that much because we were spending tons of money.
Yeah.
Around our area.
Local. It was all
local. I'm like, and we're hammering it. And again, I'm like, market yourself, market your business. Why don't I make some real estate videos and market them a little bit? And and I have in the past. It's not like we've never made videos. We've done those before, but 3 a week's pretty on it.
Yeah. Well, I think the other part of it too is we think it's got to be staged, and we think it has to be the perfect words. And what is more attractive is not staged and on every once in a while and a break in a sentence and a like a realness. And there's all these studies that show if you have two equal people and the one that people will find more attractive is the one who makes a mistake. Isn't that interesting? Because they feel more human, they feel more real. And that's the beauty of doing this. I mean, just grab your phone, turn it horizontal, and hit selfie style and record the video and just put it out and don't worry about everything else. That's such a great lesson. You know what? I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to do it right now because I learned it from you. All right. So
incidentally, what my and you can do it however you want, but what my campaign manager said was that I should hold it vertical.
Oh, really? Because of TikTok and Reels? Or what?
I think it could be that, but the main reason is that they said this looks more
Blair Witch Project?
authentic. It looks more authentic.
Okay.
Is it instead of
Hey guys, I'm here with Don McNaughton. You are not going to believe this podcast that we are going to launch. You are going to rock it. He rocked it. You'll also get a chance to look at my office a little bit. You can see my notes and my mic, and there's Don right there on screen. Can you wave, Don? Like, we are literally recording this podcast right now, and one of the things that I love that he talked about is recording video raw. And look at you can't see the way I'm holding the phone, but I'm actually holding it like vertical instead of horizontal because that's what his campaign manager said to do. So I'm implementing right now. I am literally going to put this on in our Facebook group, and I want you to watch for this podcast coming very quick on referralspodcast.com. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you there. Thanks, Don. Can you wave?
Thank you.
They couldn't hear you because I got earbuds on, but it's all good. But it's like that. That's it right there, right? It's just do it and be real and have some fun with it. My desk is a little bit of a mess today, but it is what it is, you know.
It's still tough for me a little bit, but I will say this: I got really good at it. Doing several. Some I didn't post because I was like, yeah, that didn't. I would send them to my manager. Does that look good? And he's like, well, it's okay. Yeah. When you're really tired, it's kind of hard. And 85 when you're doing 6 a.m., 6 p.m. at times, that's not a good day to shoot a video. I'm exhausted, and I'd hold that camera up, and I was like, man, I really do. I got bags under my eyes, and I'm just tired.
Or you're shaking, right? The hand's shaking because you're super tired. So I think that's a great lesson for everybody. I think the other thing too is your campaign manager had a list of topics. I think that's something that helps with people with videos is just make a list of the last 5 questions you got from a real estate client or a lending client or a solar. We have a lot of people in solar who are implementing the referral mastery system right now in the 7L system. And it's like, you know what? Like, have a list of topics and questions that they have and just answer it, right? Through a video like that, and just answer it and just put it out there, and who knows what could happen. I love that. I love that. All right, so I think we got to ask the big question is, would you do it again?
That's a good question.
Thank you. That's why I get paid the big bucks.
Yeah,
or do this free podcast.
It's funny because you know what? I said I wasn't going to do it the first time.
Yeah.
So the lesson I learned is that I'm not going to say that no. I'm not going to say never. I could do it again. It's 2 years. I have a lot of people encouraging me to do it again. I ended up with about 30% of the votes.
Yeah,
And,
jeez.
and
That's one of the
so,
questions I had for you is what percent did you,
yeah,
30% of the vote in 85 days.
yeah, I got 30% of the votes, and they said, you got to do it again. And some people told me, they're like, you know what, you challenged a campaign that had been in the works for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And they're like, the fact that you got 30% of votes in 85 days, they're like, you are a good guy. You do speak a good message to people. We just needed more time to get to all those people. And I think that's true. If I would have been running my business for just my real estate for the last 3 years, doing videos, doesn't have to be 3 a week, doing 1 a week, but doing a video and posting that out there and marketing it in my people, this 35,000 people would have known me better than what they thought already. So whether I do it again or not, I am going to continue to promote our company and talk to people out there in all these ways, and they're going to know me better. So if I do decide, hey, I want to run again, I've already been promoting. Some people running for office are a school teacher, and no, I'm not picking on anybody, but they have a job that they're not promoting themselves for at all. And we're in a world. So if you want to run for office in the business world, if you're promoting your business, do that. And then in a couple of years, go ahead and then run for office.
There you go. I think the lesson is run your business like you're running for office all the time. Run your business like you're running for office all the time. And I think one of the best things here is, I think the best thing that could happen to any listener is they could run for office and lose. Run for office like you want to win, but lose. Because if you win, you're going to have a lot of work to do, right? You're now a politician, right? But if you run run like you're going for election and then you lose, you get the business repercussions of it like you guys did, and it's like the best of all worlds, So I think there's so many great valuable lessons to this, and what a unique perspective on using the 7 levels of communication and event mastery and relationship mastery and self mastery and all the referral mastery strategies that you implemented, and CRT. Your speaking came in so handy. You were ready. You know what I mean? If you had done this 10 years ago,
I wouldn't have been
you
ready.
wouldn't have been ready. You might have botched it more. But in this case, you ran a great election. You got 30% of the freaking votes and lost, but you really didn't lose. You won 30% of the votes, if you think about it. But you also won in business because your business exploded. You're on pace to almost double. I mean, that's
it was kind of neat to get some calls from some important people. The Attorney General called me. Other people, they call because you're running for office, and they call, and I'm like, I don't even think these people know my number.
Yeah.
When they call you up and they're like, hey, Don, see you running. They're like, if you need anything from me, you let me know. Oh, wow. And you're just like, wow, I'm building relationships with people I never dreamed I would. And yeah, you know what? My main thing, John Wayne has a quote or something, courage is being scared to death, but saddling it up and doing it anyway.
There you go.
And that's what we had to do. And the other thing I have is don't worry about getting hurt. Probably going to get hurt anyway in life. So don't worry about that whole getting hurt. I didn't have a lot of attacks on me, but I had a few simple ones. After I lost, one guy sent me a deal and said, I'm so glad I don't have to see your fat face on my screen anymore. Okay. You know what? So what? That they're probably, if they're going to call you fat anyway, if you are. Or
it's on their own end, right? I mean, they're probably overweight and not really comfortable with themselves anyway. Who cares, right? Yeah, I mean, it's like, that person's already offended. You just happen to be the target today. He's offended by everything all day, every day. And you just happen to be the target. It's like, the less you give it energy, the quicker they'll ignore you. Right.
So I say, just do it. And there's a little bit of scared, but ultimately more people by far, more people come up and said, thank you for stepping up and trying to make a difference. And I still get calls from that today. And I did get assigned to some other committees out of the Republican Party. So I must have met some people like me. So just go do something. Don't sit in your house. Get out of your house and go do something.
Go run your business like you're running for office, right? Literally give yourself a night. And I will tell you, my implementation of this is you need an event in 90 days or less. And your job is to get people the 90 days is invitation and confirmation when they do say they're coming to get them to the event. Everybody hears election day is the event day, and that's the event. The energy is in the event, and that's going to create energy. And all of a sudden you put that deadline, you put that event, you put that deposit on a venue, and it should create energy in you like you're running for office. And now you're trying to get them to vote by getting them and their family to the event. So yeah. I love all of this. There's so much wisdom in this. And Don, any final words of wisdom for the listeners and viewers here today?
Just do it. Go get involved. Get involved in your board of realtors. Go to CRT, learn how to speak, learn that it's okay to speak and go up in front of the group. Man, that's fantastic wisdom. I was not nervous because of the stuff I'd learned. I mean, I was nervous, but not like I would have been. The stuff I learned at CRT made me be able to stand up and say something and not just, shrink. Is that I was able to stand confident and do that. And that was some great experience there. Get involved in your board, get involved in politics locally. There's people that they want you just go to a few meetings and watch it.
That's right.
See what happens, see what it is. And you can see who's great speakers and who's not. And if you're not a great speaker yet, go to CRT and learn how to become a great speaker.
I love that. If you're interested in CRT, go to 7lteachers.com. That's the number 7 letter L teachers, TEACHERS.com. Or you can go to certifiedreferraltrainer.com and learn more about what we do there. And we are having several courses on that coming up. But I think the big thing that I love out of this is we should run our business like we're running for office, and we should have that energy and that scared, risky, like, let's go out. And what it was is that's what it takes to overcome average, right? That's what it takes to overcome this sometimes a lack of inertia or no, we have inertia and we have to overcome inertia to get momentum. And what you really did with the election time is you created a lot of momentum and waves in your marketplace that it had to come back somewhere. Well, it came back to your business. And that's the beauty of all this. I love it. I love it. I love the phone calls you made. I love the events and the groups you spoke to. And, you had one-on-one meetings with influential and powerful people. And, they say you lost, but I felt like you won. And
we even went door to door. So like that, I know realtors like, I don't want to go door to door. Well, I didn't want to go door to door as a campaign either.
Yeah.
But you know what? I going door to door. I re-met people I hadn't seen in 10 or 15 years that they're like, oh, this is where, our son lives. And they're like, it's so great. And they're like, he's thinking about, selling his place. I was like, well, he needs to call me.
There you go.
Here's the door knocker, make sure to vote and call me. And that is, it's hot, it's cold, it's whatever. I always think of Sandra Nickel did that, and she did it in the rain.
Yep.
And she ran to a house and they gave her a hat and said, put the hat on because you don't need to be out here in the rain. So,
and she became the hat lady.
That's
and
right.
We're dedicating a part of today's podcast to the hat lady, Sandra Nickel, because right over your right shoulder is your hat, right? So Sandra Nickel, big shout out to you. And Don, I just want to say thank you so much. Once again, you have knocked it out of the park with our podcast episode. And, we're going to have you on again later on, of course. And for those of you that are interested, you should check out rms22.com because Don will be speaking there, giving you all of his secrets to 100, 200, 300 plus transactions a year in a smaller marketplace. And I'm telling you, you guys got to ask him about this election thing when you see him in Orlando, September 27th through the 29th, and he'll give you the rundown. But Don, I just want to say thank you so much for once again being our guest here on Referrals Podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, everyone. We will see you next week, on our next Referrals Podcast episode. Thank you. If you love what we do here, you like what you heard, then you know what? Rate it, review it, and please share it. We appreciate everything you do, and we'll see you next week on Referrals Podcast.